What's good, people? What's good? What's good, y'all? Late night. Wow, I wanted to get started on this really kind of early, but I didn't. Still dealing with some personal outside life, real life stuff. Um, I wanted to have a quick conversation because I was hearing this across the board. I noticed it's like a little bit when it came to not just social media of late, but also for older people, for younger people, and just how people have even said things. And then things even got brought to my attention. Conversations got brought to my conversation. Conversations got brought to my conversation. That's crazy. Conversations were even brought to my attention that, like everybody's got an opinion about technology, you can say. So I kind of want to give a little bit of my spin when it comes to the aspect of technology and how I personally view it compared to how some people might view it, may not view it, but also how they ultimately have their own judgments about it. Give me one moment. Gotta close my door. If I hear anything else out there, I know I'll probably get distracted when I'm thinking. So let's just knock that out real quick. Now, when people talk about the harms of technology, right? When people do that, especially when people mention things like I keep thinking back to my younger years of school when I was a just getting in double digits kid. I keep thinking about this because it kind of formed the conversations, the basis of how I thought about the world and the things that were not gonna put me in a place of disadvantage. Let's look at it that way. Because to me, this is not a new conversation at all. It's it's the same damn conversation, to be honest with you, but it's just with a new kind of machine that's in the room. See, I remember when I was younger that I would be hearing people talk about you need to remember everything in your head. Everything, whether you were going to use it or not, you need to remember these things. Philosophy, uh, mathematics, Rolodex, just be able to call people. Everything needed to be stored up here. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of memory. But we also have to realize this as well. And we have plenty of psychological studies and everything else going on that says that there's plenty, just like what we also go through in our education system, there's plenty of information, things that we learn about that we just don't utilize. And as far as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about some of the conversations that I had in my younger years. Very particular, I remember the one about calculators. Calculators getting treated like it was some kind of a threat. Like if you if you use it too much, your brain is gonna rot or some shit like that. Then it came down to the internet, right? When the internet started really picking up in the, I want to say late 80s, early 90s. What's good, Hurricane? What's good, Jen? Someone I'm in the building early as well. But looking for something online was considered reprehensible. Reprehensible. It was considered cheating. But for some reason, spending hours roaming around a public library, whether yours was small or whether yours was huge, hunting down books, hunting down information that would take you so much more time because it was slower, was somehow more noble. This was somehow to be the thing that people looked at as being more honest, being more real. When honestly, it was just them holding on to what they knew. And even when I was younger, that never really sat right with me. I remember it being a problem for calculators being a thing that you can just hold up in your hand as a small thing. I remember calculators getting demonized for it being on your wrist. On your wrist. Spying on chat. Oh, well, probably won't see much of that. It is a Friday night. And I'm thinking about it because, or rather, I keep thinking, what exactly are people trying to defend here? Do we have people that we're just trying to defend learning? Or is it something that they're defending? Or rather, are people defending a particular way of learning? Is there a particular way that people are saying that as human beings, when it comes to education, when it comes to knowledge, there's a particular way that you're supposed to struggle through it? Because these things are not the same. And I think that that is where a lot of these conversations get really messed up. And I'm as a very early millennial, I can tell you I know the days from when there were no cell phones to when there was. When there were where everybody was still using answering machines and Rolodex were still a thing. When I was coming up, just before I really started learning phone numbers to actually start being able to call people, I think the world had just started switching over to touch tone phones because prior to that, they were still doing rotary. So when I consider how the world changes in a technological kind of way, I am a person who always came up with technology evolving, changing, reforming for the good or for the bad. So when I say things to people who are older than I am, or also people who are younger than I am, I say one of my things that I find as a luxury, but also a detriment is that not the fact that I just came up with technology, but technology has grown with me. See, I'm in a very unique position that I think a lot of people don't really look at it. Older people can remember a whole life without technology. And then the people who are younger than I am came up and technology was already here. I can say that technology has grown with me, has walked beside me through all of my life. So I have a very different attitude when it comes to technology. Some of it bad, some of it good, but ultimately, that technology is a tool. You can use it for bad, you can use it for good. So here's a great example of how technology was looked at very different between me and say even the adults who are around me in the late 80s, early 90s. People in my age back then, we were young, we were kids, could look online and we understood now we could talk to people across vast distances in something called a chat room and have great conversations, talk about your favorite things that's over there too. Oh my gosh, you do that too. And before it even went worldly, we're talking about just nationally. We're talking about just across state lines. Versus people were like, I don't really know anything about that. When we were having conversations with people who were adults, we're like, we can go here, we can look up funny videos way before YouTube was ever established, folks. Years, decade before YouTube was ever established. We're looking at videos. This is when even stick figure clips was very, like, kung fu stick figure clips were very funny at the time or whatever. But the adults didn't want kids being on the internet. Why? Because all adults were thinking about were the harms, as they always do, right? But when you ask the typical adult back then, what were the things that they saw, that they think that they saw, that they think that the internet was all about back then? And then, while children or kids didn't use the words opportunity, they said it can do this, it can do that, you can meet people here, you can download music, you could do this, you can there's a new site that's doing this, and then parents or adults would always say the internet is just all about porn. Think about that. You had a whole younger generation of people who saw not only what the internet was behind the scenes, but also what it could be for the future. And adults only looked at the things that they already saw as a problem without the internet, which was porn. They weren't thinking I can get robbed, I can get hacked, my accounts. They weren't thinking about none of that. So the meme that came up before they were memes, by the way, but the earliest memes were, there's so many things you can do on the internet. It's more than just porn. That was one of the earliest memes that we got as young people. You can do so much on the internet. It's not just about porn. And it eventually, adults caught on. It took them some time, but they started catching on. But the concept of what is a standard for learning still falls short with us even today. And I'm wondering, why is it we're still falling short when it comes to that? A lot of people, who I'm hearing them, they sound like they came from a world where they believe that things were just better. When I'm like, it's not that it was better, it was just your time. Because the people before you don't think that your time was better. And I've had conversations about this before. I think we're talking about whether things come in a particular format that is approved. Whether or not things are visible enough for us. When I got told that it's better for me to touch and feel the spine of a book or to go find the information I want. For instance, great example is this. For those who hear, check this. Put this in your mind real quick. If you're too young, you're not gonna remember this. When someone said, if you don't know something, go pick up the dictionary. How many people say those words today? I think more people say the words, I am not a dictionary, than if you don't know, go look at the dictionary. Because a dictionary, like a Bible and like the Yellow Pages, was in everybody's house. Everyone's house. The Yellow Pages, a Bible, and a dictionary was at least in everybody's home. Not even at the source, people. A dictionary was in everyone's home. But the idea of going onto a computer, by the way, to the point where even adults were like, I don't even want to send you to the library Because when you're supposed to be going to look for your books, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go to the local library to get on the computer just to watch porn.
I'm not equipped to help with that kind of content.
Hey,
but I'm
hey, hey, computer, quiet. You're not going to be in this. Let me mute you. But like this is what it was back then. Now, I got lucky very early, right? I got lucky in the sense that I had, at the very least, a mother who was very much adaptable. She still is adaptable. You can even say I kind of get it from her. She was into technology early. I got lucky in the fact that I had access to a computer and many new devices in life way before they ever became normalized for a lot of people. So I did not grow up fearing technology because I always grew up next to it. When people say things like, well, people are lonely and da 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 da. No, 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 no. It was different when I was coming up. Because you had access to technology, you weren't lonely. In fact, everybody came to your house because everybody wanted to have access to it because it wasn't readily available for everybody. You have an internet? You have AOL, you have a chat room, you can just go look up stuff. Way before Google was a thing. I think at the time we may have had something for Microsoft. I can't remember what the hell it was. AOL had its own kind of browser. Netscape was still a thing. Back then, you had to download a browser. It didn't just come installed. You were basically paying for a browser. Some browsers were free, some, before it became most browsers were free. So whether a person got to answer through a particular route of getting information, whether you were an older person or traditional people, I think the aspect of how we learn is something that it's still being struggled with today, even though we are generations ahead of our time. That we're still dealing with people in school that doesn't seem to have the same amount of respect for technology today. And I think that's where a lot of the problem is coming from, even when it comes to education today. This idea that adaptability is a harmful thing. The same way how I hear so many people talk about progress is a bad thing, when progress is how we're even able to live this long. Why is it that we forget something that's very important even today? Things that we've been able to prove even today. Things that education has fucked up on even today. Things that our parents have fucked up on even today. That not everybody learns the same way. We've seen the studies, large, big ass fucking classes. Every one teacher, not everybody can get to a kid. If the kid didn't learn a particular way, what they did, they shipped his or her little ass off to special ed. Not that anything was really wrong with them, but also there was no time to get to know them, or you just say, well, this is the standard of learning. This is the only way to learn. There's no other way to learn. And if you can't learn it that way, you are dumb. Think about how many people, eccentric and otherwise, that we let fall through the cracks when you look back in history. And then think of the time that we're living in right now. And that rate of failure still continues. Keep in mind, I just mentioned education. You can round this in a lot of different ways. A lot of ways. People are still pretending as if the way we learn, that there's only one way to learn something when we all learn different ways. I don't know why this is still treated like some conversational locked in, stocked in barrel thing. It's not. Nobody learns the same way. I, for sure, if I was stuck to the metrics of how people had to learn, I'd be fucked. I would have been screwed a long time ago. When we all know that people don't process information the same way. Now it's a common thing that we all know this. But yet, even today, people are pretending like it's not. People don't learn the information the same way. They don't connect the same way. People that are saying you can't use technology. Now, I get it. People have definitely gone too far, especially with like AI in this day and age. So I'm talking about the college people writing their papers and shit like that. I've seen that, and I think that's kind of appalling. There are some things that you need to do and you need to learn and you need to have aspects of. But the idea of just, and it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to scrutinize. It's okay to be wary of technology. I'm not saying implicitly trust technology, but this idea that we are basically needing to just put a cap on technology and hold up things that are no longer serving. A good example with this, you can answer it for yourself. Unless you want to learn about global or US history, which is mainly about, let's just be honest, war. It's not a cultural study thing. You're not learning about culture study. You're learning about wars that happen. Because this is the way I came up. Learning about global studies, it was about learning about wars that happen in other countries. US history was about learning about wars that happen here. That's what it was. So it wasn't about culture. It wasn't about learning why people are different in different areas. There were no cultural studies really like that. That was more of a post-educational thing. And hopefully that's changed over the time, man. Hopefully it does. Or hopefully it did. But that's not the way how people are even still treating the world today. Some things need repetition. You do need to learn math. You do need to know how to read. You do need to know how to write, people. You do. Some people understand faster than others do. Some people learn things one time. And some people need to do it back and forth. Some people only can get the full thing first, and then they take the full problem that's already there and they break it down. What's wrong with these people? Nothing's wrong with them. This is something that only came later in the future through people who are techie. It's called reverse engineering. You got to get the entire thing solved and then break it down. But by the way, how many people who were engineers, worked on cars, they were mechanics, all the other stuff, they learned the same way. They got a clock and they broke it. I did that. Got a clock that came to me, broke the shit down, and then put it all back together. Some people learn differently. But there were some people that saw the clock broken and only yelled, screamed, and told curious minds, no. And thus another person was not allowed to grow in the world. Some people do get stuck. If you force them a rigid method and tell them that if nothing else is clicking, then something is wrong with them. And I think education has done that to a lot of people, honestly. But it even goes outside of education now. the judgment of things who are not even professionals, but things that we look at as hobbyists. The ideal that someone like me, right? Someone who works in particular fields, or people who study other people, who give their own assessment based on things that do not require a degree. You have so many people that will turn around and tell you that you can't make that prediction, or you can't make that assessment, which is all it is. It's an assessment, something that every human being does, by the way. Every human being makes a judgment. And they will turn around and tell you, you can't do that unless you have a degree. But question, how did degrees get started? Schools weren't always a thing. So how did degrees get started? How did these PhDs, baccalaureates, and freaking, I guess at the time, associates as well, got started? Someone who was working off the perception that there was more knowledge than anything else. But we know that always been a bullshit reader. For those who are perceptive enough, doesn't mean that they had it all together. But also because a lot of people think that there's just one way of doing something. And technology, the same way how the industrial age has always been something that's been fighting back against that. If academia dictates learning, then why does most of the age that we run on today really does not require academia? The very things that are really considered the salt of the earth, the foundational things that hold up civilization, are not things based in academia. You don't need to be an academic, a scholar, to be a plumber. Yet everybody needs to have that taken care of. And the problem is that many people believe that there's only a one way to do things, when we can see throughout history, you can go so many different paths and still arrive at the same, if not a better conclusion. This is what happened to kids in school when they said, show your math problem, right? Show your work. If a kid went so many different ways, but came up with the right answer, that kid was not celebrated. That kid was chastised by the very teachers. Instead of saying, why did they went that way, but they still got it? Why did they go that way? Which is the more important question, the why. But let's be honest. In those days, everybody talked about do as I say. There was no creativity. And I'll go back to the beginning of it. You say academia dictates learning. How did academia get started? Or do you believe it was always a thing that existed? Universities didn't always exist. Or are we forgetting about human history? I know you're not going to turn around and talk to me about Adam and Eve, right? So that means things had to come up through evolution, even throughout communication, throughout understanding, and about agreed upon things that are actually taking place. So schools didn't always exist. Universities didn't always exist. Certifications didn't always exist. Diplomas didn't always exist. Degrees didn't always exist. The steam engine didn't always exist. The computer didn't always exist. Smartphones didn't always exist. And AI didn't always exist. But funny enough, let's talk about all those different things that didn't exist, that came up throughout history, and yet the process of understanding how people learn is something that desperately did not evolve with it. it's interesting how only you could say like the last 2 generations people have really put effort. I want to say this is generation, not even really X, to be honest with you. Millennials, Z, Z's, and Alphas is pretty much the first time that people really started deep diving into understanding and trying to make different ways for people to learn. Because if you want to be a creative, you could be a creative. They're like, yo, he's really good. He really understands this. They really understand that. But if it didn't do it the way you want it to be done, this person was considered to be stupid. But obviously, they're a genius. Obviously, they're really good. Obviously, there are people who are dyslexic who do really fucking well. Oh, by the way, there are more people this day and age, funny enough, right? The way how the mind works, who are avid, strong readers, will not spend their time reading because they rather listen to an audiobook. I could listen to a whole bunch of audiobooks. I got a whole bunch of audiobooks, but I still spend a lot of time reading. I still spend a lot of time reading. Not because I enjoy it, but because I have it in my mind that you will get more information out of a physical book than listening. But also, if you want to highlight, dog ear, bookmark a particular thing to go back to later, it's not going to be the same thing as listening to someone say it. For some reason, the aspect of creativeness and understanding that people learn on different wavelengths is a new phenomena. It's not something that's always been with us. Even though, if you look through history, creative people understanding different ways to get somewhere has been through us for all our lives. For all of our lives. For all our lives. The differences in how people have been able to learn, cultivate ideals, and come up with things have been with throughout all our lives. But yet we turn around and always said through academia, by the way, that this is the one way to go, and then wonder why we didn't really get that far. Creativeness is not rare. Creativeness has been stifled. It's not rare. The best quote I hear when it comes to creating this is this: there were so many potentials, there are so many potentials, there are so many great inventions in the world that will never be realized. And if you want to go find out where they're at, go to the graveyard. Because these are the people that were told that they couldn't get it done. That this is the way of the world, that you can't do it that way. You can only do it my way. And the only people that really got away with being able to make something of themselves were those, like Gatsby even said, the ones that looked like they were crazy, the ones that did it anyway. The fact that I am sitting here under light was done by a crazy person. Most of you motherfuckers can't do something 10 times, never mind over 1,000 times, just to get your thing going. It was done by a crazy person, right? Or were they? The internet, done by a crazy person. Or were they? The car, done by a crazy person. Or were they? People who say Newton going around to go figure out how physics is, crazy person, or were they? Creativity is what actually spurs on progress and evolution for us. The curiosity point. Because when you only tell people that there's only one way to do something, that's not evolution. That's not adaptation. That's stifling. That's stagnation. And to think otherwise is a delusion. The fact that we've gotten this far from the fact that we're just learning about fire is adaptation. People being creative and finding new ways to harness and hold the heat. Guess what? That wasn't done in academia. That was done being creative. Are you really going to argue with that? That creativity has not been the way how we've gone around, how we've been able to move forward. When you look at architecture, even those who are your favorite little fucking gun fanatics and all the different ways that they make ammunition and shooting and weapons, this wasn't done through people of academia. This was done through people who were creative. These are your creatives. These are your actual revolutionaries in history. These are the people who are your actual page turners. Lemmings are not page turners. Let me say that one more time for you. Lemmings are not page turners. Being a good little boy and girl and walking in the line that everybody else walked before you is not going to actually push the needle forward. To be somewhere you never been, you have to do something you never done. To see interesting things in the world, one themselves must become interesting. This has been the way of the world that refuses to be acknowledged until recently, and it's still being pushed against. Even though we can see the reasons, we can see that it's been falling apart because history has been fighting something. Human beings, some particular human beings, and put it that way, have been fighting the very things that they've been taking advantage of all of their life. All of their life. They've been fighting progress. They've been fighting progression. And the reason why they fight, let's be honest, the reason why they fight it is because of nostalgia. You're afraid to see the world different than how you came up. But the truth of the matter is that the world has always been different. It's been different from your mom's. It's been different from your mom's mom. It's been different from your mom's mom. The world has always changed. Always has. And always will. This is why I stay with an open mind of being adaptable. I got way too many apps on my phone. So much to the point where, you know what I do? I break them up. Particular apps go on this phone. Particular apps go on this phone. I got younger people who look at me and they go, "You know about that app?" I'm like, "Yeah." People in their 20s look at me like, "You know that app?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm 20 years older than them. Holy shit. Yo, you're one of the few people I actually know that still keep up. Yeah. Because the world does not care about me slowing down. You stop moving, you start dying. And there's so many of you guys get so fucking frozen with fear that you try to hold the entire world still. Realizing it's a lost cause. It is a losing battle. And you're not just freezing it only for yourself. You're trying to freeze it for other people that will not benefit. Most likely your nieces and nephews and your own kids. Because if we literally kept holding on to the ideas of people that didn't want shit to move forward, motherfuckers would still be dying from fucking polio. The fuck are we doing? And we see the education system even to this day is so fucked up globally. But you want to say that academia is really the standard? Seems like academia can use a little bit of an update. Because just saying the way that things are just the way they are doesn't work. It doesn't work. Things are ever evolving. That works. Things change and you can't do a damn thing about it. That works. adapting to make things better instead of trying to hold it in place and hurting everybody. That works. Telling people what won't happen while watching it happening around you is crazy. There are so many things that we have today. We have today that people literally took to my fucking face, told me would not happen. It's a dream. It's a fantasy. You need to get with reality, wrestler. And the first thing I looked at, the first thing that really opened my mind to how things were going to be were all of the things that you guys made, by the way. Movies, sci-fi, books. And as much as I can hear about it, whether I read the books or whether it was read to me from a teacher, I didn't believe it was going to be fully an investment, fully a thing that will happen. But most of all, that I knew was going to happen within my lifetime until I laid my eyes on Star Trek. When Star Trek happened, I knew it was all happening. And I was just like, I can't wait. I may not be the person who makes it, but I can't wait. But it's going to happen in my lifetime. And everything outside of a goddamn teleporter has practically happened. Because we're still on the replicator now. And if I live just a little bit long enough, we'll get that too. But this didn't happen by the people who was going on the status quo. This wasn't happening by your fucking academics. These were happening by the people who are considered to be your creatives. The people who were told you can't do it that way. And they said, watch me. The people who turned around and said, no, that's not the way to do it. And they did it. These are the people whose entire life, their entire concept, their entire aspect of learning was under attack by people who were too comfortable, not willing to stretch. Why are you so comfortable attacking things? Because you're afraid that what they could be doing might actually work. But you're like, no, I don't. I'm attacking them because, they're doing it wrong. Well, this is why I say it to so many of you guys. How does them doing it wrong hurt you? How does it help you? How does someone else doing things their way hurt you? You don't like it? Mind your fucking business. Do what you're doing. Stay in your little bottle. You can stay in the corner, in the blanket, wrap yourself up. No one's going to give a shit. But if they're doing well, don't say nothing. I've had a person, someone say, yo, I can't believe this motherfucker. They got this fucking company off the ground. Uber was my idea. If you didn't fucking do anything, it's not your idea. When Amazon came on and started diving into books, I didn't get mad at the fact that bookstores were closing down. I understood. I didn't curse Amazon. I knew it. The adaptation is how we were able to combat a lot of diseases that just allowed us to live longer. If you had the right person, they were like, there's no way we're doing that. You want to take mold and put that into people's body? Penicillin? Absolutely not. Yet, now what? Adaptation, growth, progress, the very things that so many people, even to this day and age, because they just refuse to want to grow with the times, have messed up everybody else. And then I'm gonna ask, for whose benefits? Not for yours. You might claim that you're doing it to help everybody else, but who are you actually helping? Because they didn't ask you for shit. You're volunteering your life force into something that nobody asked you for. And at the same time taking advantage of it. And I can say that you're taking advantage of it because if you're a person that turn around and say, well, fuck the internet and fuck everything, it's like, you won't be watching me right now. You wouldn't be watching me right now. You'd be in a hut somewhere. And if you really don't want to get so industrialized, don't buy a gun either. Get a bow and fucking arrow. And I hope you didn't buy it. I hope you didn't have that thing shipped to you. I hope you made it out of your own tree branches and everything out of your fucking backyard. But let's just be honest, the majority of people are not doing this. Not respecting the very thing that people take advantage of on a massive scale today. And not respecting how they actually got here. I'm not understanding the anti-technology conversation. Because every time a new tool shows up, people act like the shit is under attack. The world is under fucking attack. And I'm like, is it though? Is it? Or is it just the fact that you're not comfortable because you feel like you can't keep up? Again, when I was a young double digits kid, I'm not even a teen yet. I was chastised by grown adults, not the kids, grown adults, for wanting access to a calculator. I got little plastic watch clock calculators slash fucking digital. Cause I remember it was the adults that were talking shit when digital watches came out. Because all watches back then were wind up analogs. So when we finally got a digital watch, adults were the first ones to talk shit. And then when those watches got better, they started wearing it. And then when those watches got calculators in them, they were trashing the calculators. I wish that there were some adults that I could find who were doing all that shit and just say, how you think about the world now? Was it everything you dreamed? No, it is what I dreamed. It is for me. It is for me. It is what I dreamed. And the sad part about it is that all those dreams still haven't came true. There's still things I'm still waiting for. I mean, people look at your most recent times right now. Not that it's a conversation about it, but because of progress, because of technology, because of growth, even warfare has changed. Take a pick on which way you want to look at it, but it is what it is. Food has changed. We got more people now eating ramen than ever in the world. We have more people today eating cross country foods than ever before. We have more people today eating out of season than ever before. How did we do that? Progress. How do those things come to be? Creatives. That's how it happened. Even your warfare is done by creatives. Your pipelines are done by creatives. Your beautiful looking skyscrapers are done by creatives. The insulation that was in your house are done by creatives. You can say the capitalist. Capitalism was done by a creative. Because what was before capitalism? We don't want to respect the people that actually do make the world different. For better or for worse. But if we listen to everybody that just said it just needs to be this way and this way only, I think we would just be getting past the time where we would just start getting people into diapers. People would still be changing their kids' asses with rags. Why? Because that's the way my mom did it. And that's the way her mom did it. And that's the way her mother's mother did it. We follow tradition over here. Everybody has dirty asses, full of flavor. And instead of having all the right tools to take care of you, to make sure that your babies can actually live longer, that your freaking pregnancies can go well, you'd be stuck. You'd be stuck. And for some of you guys, you'd be really fucked because that woman that you really did go raw dog in, you are happy that birth control is available now. But when it comes to how technology is looked at now, it's so weird because this is something where people will now, they'll say, well, it's boomers, right? It's boomers. No, there are definitely boomers who have a problem with it. But you'd be surprised how many people I hear talk about this, and they're not boomers. They're not Xers. They're Gen Z. Gen Z arguing over what they want to be real and what they want to be authentic, right? Let's be honest. It's most likely an AI conversation. This is how I think that it should be like this, and I think that our car should be like this, and we need to have our food be like this, and I think that we should have our clothing be like this. And it's like, do you understand that a lot of things you're asking for, you don't even know how they were really made? Just gonna keep it a buck with you. Especially a lot of younger people who I talk to, I'm like, you came up on robo music where anyone could sound like they're singing because everybody has a robo voice. I tried talking to a person who's in their 20s about really listening to Whitney Houston. They told me they didn't even really start listening to Mariah Carey until recently. The only time that they ever really heard Mariah Carey was in Christmas. They really didn't even do their deep diving to listen to Mariah Carey music. Now I know this might be offensive to some of y'all. It might feel like the holy grail right now. They never listened to Mariah. They've never listened to. We're older. Folks. We're all older. And this is my point as well. If you're saying that, can you now name the artists of today and what they sing? Can you name a person who sings today? Not even R&B artist, just someone who sings today, not rappers. Most of you guys are probably going to say no. So the same way how you might feel disrespected at the fact that you think that they don't know your celebrities, it doesn't make sense when you also don't know theirs. Because the only difference between you and them is time. And your time didn't stop. You could still be learning. You can still be adapting. You can always be listening to new stuff. You can always be re-educating. I don't blame people. I do not blame people for being older than I am. I do not blame people for being younger than I am. But the one thing stays the same. The one thing that we share, whether I have more grades than you or what, is time. And as long as I'm alive, I have the ability to learn, and so do you. But let's be honest, you'll have so many people, the older that they get, turn around and say what they don't want to do. But it's so funny when I'm hearing so many younger people talk about the things that they believe should be and should not be available. And I say, so if those things magically went away, what would you do? I love this. I love that part of the conversation that I had with some of the young people. If we took that part away, what do you think will be replaced with it? So they go, well, if we get rid of AI, I said, okay, how many of you really remember a time before AI? Well, I do. I remember this. I remember that. Okay, cool. So before AI assistants, because we're gonna see how far we go. What about VI assistants? And they stop and they look at me like, what do you mean VI? Before artificial, there was virtual. You want to get rid of virtual intelligence? How far you want to go? Because like I said, I can go back to a time where you think something was simple, I can go way more basic than that. I can go way basic. I can go so much farther than that. And not because my knowledge is better, not because those were better times, by the way. It's because you don't know what you don't know. And in order for you to have what you have today, you have to understand where it came from. And for me to know what I have today, I have to appreciate how far along it's come, which is why I say I love the time frame that I live in. I love me growing and walking side by side with the internet, with technology. I love my generation. But I can also see how many people were fucking stuck in how things should not be from the older people. But I can also say and look at the people and go, you say that shit should not be this and should not be that, and you're younger. If you don't like it, don't use it. But don't say it shouldn't exist. Here's a good example, folks. Here's a good example. By the way, here's a good example of evolution. Watch this. I'm gonna do this right now. Evolution. This is good. This might bother some folks. Gonna get personal for some people. Some people got family. Some people got friends. Hell, one of you guys, whether it's here in the chat or it's in the replay gang or whatever, you're gonna understand this. Because this is why I say all the time. Adaptation is evolution. It could be on a micro scale, but when you look connecting all the dots, it's evolution. If you were really good, if human beings were really good at halting evolution, they would have done so a long time ago. If they were really good at halting adaptation, it would have been done a long time ago. So when I hear people have the argument today, yeah, it's about to get personal. It's about to get spicy. When I hear people have the argument today about like trans people, right? I look at them and I go, why is that your argument? Why are trans people your argument? I can tell you, especially for people who are like at my age or older than I am, and I go, I remember when there was a time where the word trans would have never came out of our mouths. If we said trans, we knew former, and we were thinking Megatron or Optimus Prime. It would have never been what we're talking about today. But isn't it also so funny for you guys that you're now so focused on trans people that you forgot about gay people? And then, well, no, I got my proclivities when it comes to gay people too. I go, okay, good. Stop. Let's do a little bit of history, right? You're not gonna like me, but it's okay because I gotta make you think. If you were so good, if humans were so good at controlling adaptation and evolution, then how come the murders, the disownment, the fact that quote gay people can't breed, quotes to some of y'all, the fact that you had conversion therapies and everything else, and yet if you go to today, they thrive better than they've ever thrived throughout history. So you have not been able to control that to the point where now you look at them and they're not even your main angst. Now you have trans people. I'm like, stop. How about the fact that you just need to adapt? You just need to adapt. There's nothing you're going to be able to do that change that, because if you could, you would have done it already. You can't do anything about it. If you're going to, the more you try to force something, the more aggressive it fights back. I look at it like the Batman theory. The only reason why the quote supervillains become more and even get more intense is strictly because Batman exists. If it was really just about the low level people, Batman wouldn't really need to exist. So when Batman decided he wanted to hit the streets and started making himself known, bigger villains started popping up. Why? Because Batman exists. They got to prepare for you now, so which means they got to be at a bigger extreme. What you try to hold back grows stronger. So there's nothing you can do about it. No. And Gatsby, you say, is why trans stand out more? Trans don't stand out more. Trans are the newest thing. They don't stand out more. Trans people don't stand out more. Gay was everything on the rave. Gay was on the rave. Trans stand out more because trans are the newest thing. Because prior to trans, what did you hear about? Nobody was sitting here making a big wave about anyone else. Like, no one made a big thing about cross-dressers. The same way how you don't hear anything about people on nudist beach. You don't hear about anything about nudist communities. You don't hear a big wave on that. It only becomes something because, and let's be honest with you, only because there are people that just don't like the way how the world changing, the world has shifted, the world has adapted, the world has evolved, and they want to stifle them because they're Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints. You better go take a look back, Gatsby, because you're looking at current data. If you really want to go back to say that gays were killing themselves, because gays have been out and studied longer than trans people have. So if you want to look at their history compared to trans people, they still outnumber trans people in deaths. Let's look at history. Trans people are just new. They're recent. They're just on the block now. They just moved in. They just got into the city. Gays have been a resident for a while. And not for nothing, look at society today. We have more people wanting to be out and open and out front, and good for them, than ever before, because society needed to adapt. But I'll go back to my beginning thing. When Josh was trying to do his thing, how the fuck does that help you? And how does it hurt your life? Do whatever the hell you're gonna do. How does it bother you? Like I've never had anyone who had a different lifestyle stop me from living my life, making my choices, and seeing the people that I want to see. Never happened. I have not run across someone who has a different sexual orientation or sexual needs stop me from my personal goals. And I always say, I always said this, but I'm gonna keep hammering it down. And I'm gonna make it a very big thing for a lot of people this year. It's another distraction that pulls you away from the thing that is most important, and that is one day, whether you like it or not, you, your friends, your family, your parents, your spouse, your kids are going to die. All of this stuff you think is way more important, when the truth of the matter is that you should be living your best life. None of that other shit matters versus you living your best life. None of the talks and the stats and the stupid debates, you can't take it with you. When you're gonna get the same, you're gonna get lowered the same feet deep as all this other bullshit that you're talking about. And no one's gonna care. Barbara, what's going on? It's another night out, or another night in, you should say. People pretend like they're all being revolutionaries by opening their mouth. No, because let's be honest, the world cares about what people do, not what people say. And that thing that you're saying is the thing that actually brings forth action. That's the thing that's very important. But you actually have to do something. Most people that just talk doesn't do anything. They talk and they do things, and that's how influence is born. People who just talk doesn't mean shit. People who talk and do, they're deadly. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how my stream is how my stream is going so far. We're on the YouTube side as well, so we got some people coming in. It is a busy weekend, Barbara. So it, and again, I'm a small creator. I'm a small creator. By the way, you guys don't see Barbara. Barbara is on the kick side right now, so I appreciate you, Barbara. Appreciate you for stepping by. But like, yeah, I appreciate that. I do need to do more. I do need to do more on the kick side, to be honest with you, Barbara. I just have like a bigger, or rather a bigger and longer standing side on YouTube. And I do like doing stuff on kick, but at the same time, it's like, ugh. I'm in NYC, girl. I'm in NYC. Yeah, I'm in New York City. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But a lot of people know me mainly from the YouTube side of things. YouTube, a lot of people know me on Instagram, even though I don't really post like that on Instagram anymore. And then of course, it is what it is. But like, yeah, if you ever catch me on here, it's all good. If you were to catch me on the YouTube side or whatever, it's all good. I don't stream daily because I got a life. I can't stream daily. This is not a full-time thing for me. I gotta live life like everybody else. I'm trying to bring up my scheduling a little bit more, but come on now. I gotta live life. But I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to have the kind of conversation to do what I do. And hopefully you like what's going on. But to back to what I was saying, what happened? If you do, right? Because I don't know where it's gonna go, but if you do, the best place to have a lot of conversation with me about it is you could do so on my in my email. If you emailed me or if you reached me on Discord. I have so many more conversations with people like that. It's kind of it gets a little bit difficult to do so on stream because typically I'm like taking care of a lot of stuff or I have particular things I need to get out. Kind of like it's kind of like a structure as to what I'm doing. I want to actually I should do streams where I am doing more of a touch base and just sharing things back and forth for people. So that's all speculation, Barbara. Because I see a lot of people on those other sides as well, and they all pretty much look the same. Like it's all gaming shit. Not everyone who's online is a gamer. uh, Gatsby, you were talking about the fact that people out there and they're pretty much taking themselves to the chessboard. But I'm like, people have been doing that for a long time. And again, if you're looking throughout human history, you can see that for gays. You can even see that for heterosexuals. So it is what it is. But the aspect that people are not willing to adapt and change up, because here's to be honest with you, a lot of people want to do what has already been done or what they already know. A lot of people are afraid to change or to do things or dare to be different, dare to do things that haven't been done before. So everybody says, if you don't follow this roadmap, if you don't do this particular thing, then you're screwed. And history has not shown that. You said, so don't care about it. I don't care about it. I don't care. And the reason why I don't care about it is the same way how so many people try to get me into other things online. And I go, that doesn't move the needle for me in my life. It does nothing. It does zero. Because if you look like everybody else, you don't really get noticed anyway. It's all about the substance that you put out. Either they rock with it or they don't. You looking the part doesn't do anything if you can't say shit. When you open your mouth, nothing gets done. I hate to tell you this, your consideration won't mean shit on your tombstone. If it's not about what's going to be better for you, your family, and your loved ones, or the people that's going to be the most beneficial to you, you being considerate for people that you probably don't even really run into on a regular basis, your consideration for just being nice is just being nice. You don't need to give anyone else special treatment to be that, to be considerate. What are you talking about? Being a human being is being a human being. Diving into the numbers and trying to treat them like they're a special class doesn't do anything. It does absolutely nothing. Especially if it does nothing to move the needle as to where you're going in your life. Does it matter? By the way, does it matter you caring about all that other stuff if you have a particular unless you plan on joining that lifestyle or unless you like dealing with people in that lifestyle, like you like dating them or whatever, which is not a problem if that's your thing. But if you have other things and other avenues and things that you envision for yourself in your own life and what's going on in the particular partner that you're looking for, whatever, then the fixation on it does nothing for you. What is uh I mean, if you email it to me, or whatever, then I can check it out later, Barbara. The that's where you got things wrong, Gatsby, and that's why you're trying to change the conversation into something that it's not. Because you say, "What's wrong with you talking about consideration?" This was never a conversation about consideration. You want to bring it up as a conversation about consideration. You should really stick to the topic instead of trying to derail it. We're having the thing that we're talking about, but you're trying to make it into something else. No one ever talked about consideration. You brought up consideration. That, just like I didn't say that anything is wrong with it. I just said it does nothing for anyone else. What you care about does not reflect upon the entire world. It's just you. You don't make up the macro of the world. You're just one piece, one very tiny portion. Everybody has to play their part. It's not about you. So that means you have to make your particular spacing in your part of the world good. Because what you do does not reflect on everyone else. No, it doesn't. Because it's gonna be there's gonna let me tell you why it doesn't do something for them. Because there's gonna be other people who outnumber you because you're one person and they have to deal with those people. They're not all you. That's why. You say my Discord, if you just write in Discord, IamResla, you'll get me. You should get me. Let me go. In fact, let me get my name on Discord right now. Hold up. Hold up. Do, 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 do. Uh, yeah. But if you just type in "I am wrestling" on Discord, you should get me. It's all one word, obviously. You said Roman men wore dresses all the time. Not just Roman men. The Scottish did it. The Scottish did it. That was not a thing. That wasn't a big thing about it. I got you, Barbara. I got you. I don't think anyone was really like thinking that it changed the world because people gave them consideration. No, it was just is what it is. This is a matter of culture. And by the way, everybody has a culture. Some people are going to respect culture. Some people are not going to respect culture. That just is what it is. The same way how people are not going to respect the culture of the fact that the world changes, regardless of what we like or not. The world is going to change. In fact, the point where Gatsby can get so teary eyed over trans people is a matter of the fact that the world changes, that technology has changed. Because even in the way how people are not able to live their lives and do more for themselves and be reflected in the bodies that they want to be is a technological change. This is a matter of how science and technology has actually come together to give people those things. And there are people who are going to fight up against that. But I say you should stop because that was the way how we were able to socialize medicine and give people proper C-sections or administer drugs or whatever. This is just a matter of that. See, and some of you guys are gonna go up against that, and I just go, that's not gonna help you in the long run because it's not gonna matter. History has shown you can't change it. You can't change the waves. Individuals somehow believe that they themselves can change the waves. They can't. And history has shown that if you try to be loud enough, well, rather, history has shown that if you try to be loud enough, it will course correct you. MLK, Fred Hampton, fuck it, Lincoln, they'll come for you. Is what it is. Because you need a group effort. You by yourself can't do it. Choosing to be a choosing to be a choosing to be a different person, a decent person, has nothing to do with particular cultures. Either you're a decent person or you're not. Saying you need to be decent enough to other people, to specific people, that doesn't make you a decent person. Either you're gonna be a decent person or you're not, Gatsby. That's it. I don't need particular people to be nice to know whether I'm a nice person or not. The same way how I can tell all these other people that think that they're about to make changes by stopping other people does absolutely nothing. I appreciate it, Barbara. I'll check it out later. I really disagree with what? Who said anything about people not being decent people? You're all over the place. Why is it you have a problem focusing? What are you saying? Like you make up things nobody's talking about. And then you try to have people talk about things that no one ever mentioned, just you. We have a problem with focusing. And I know you think that you're being a master derailer and everything, but you're not. I know exactly where I am and what I'm talking about. I know you like to think that you're very great at manipulating, but you're not. You're not the only one who knows things. Because I literally make points for myself, so I know exactly where I'm at. I know you want to make it about you, but you can always hit a live stream and start your own shit up. You know exactly what it is. I know you want to believe you're the smartest person in the room, even though you're not. So I have to bring it home and let you know. See what you're doing. It's really not that serious. It's really not that deep. No one was talking about that. No one cared about it. You're trying to bring it up as a new thing. You want the attention, even though you can start up a live stream because you got at least a Google account. People who want to make changes in the world, when the world doesn't need you, the world's going to make a change regardless of you. The world's going to make a change regardless of whether you like it or not. And I don't understand the people that sit around thinking that they're going to be the ones to halt the fucking waves. Because those people who are actually trying to stop progress are the ones that hurt everything. They hurt progress. If we allow people to do it, to actually be able to do that, I'm gonna go back to it. Then how come you couldn't stop gay people from existing? You couldn't, because it's bigger than you. The same way how you're not gonna be able to stop trans people from existing. It's bigger than you. Anyone who thinks that they're out there waging a war, you are woefully unprepared. Because the world doesn't care about you and your feelings alone. It needs a collective decision. And most of the people, the same way how people are fighting against the minority of people that are trying to make the change, they happen to understand also. They happen to not understand also that they also are the minority themselves. Do you really believe like the majority of people are out there trying to fight up against other people's changes? No. Even though it tends to be the minority that tends to speak very loudly. I've ran into a lot of adults who turned around and was like, "This is not going to work. This is not going to happen. You're crazy. If you don't learn this, you're not going to get anywhere in life." And I'm like, interesting. All right. I almost wish like there was a TV crew following me because they would see absolutely it's wrong. In fact, it's probably somewhere along the lines of their life that the very thing they didn't think was going to be possible probably saved their lives. Look at you, Hoover. I see you. So, what does this say about people who absolutely, till this day, are still fighting the changes that happen in the world, thinking that what they're adamantly against makes a difference? Especially when it doesn't do anything for their lives. I mean, what changes you really think you're making? The human race has never gone backwards. We haven't gone backwards. Not for technology, not for science, not for speech, not for ethics. We've never gone back. So people need to learn to adapt, whether they like it or not. And if it really doesn't affect your day-to-day life, then there's no reason for you to become a fucking warrior. There's no reason for you to be a rebel. There's absolutely no reason. Worry about the things that focus on your life. Or see an opportunity in the things that are changing. Because this is how we get a lot of the large entrepreneurs that come through. This is how we get an Elon Musk. Not because space and rockets were not a thing already. They absolutely were. But he's showing to make it better. This is how Blockbuster went out of business. Netflix crushed them because they couldn't adapt. This is how bookstores are dwindling every day because Amazon. This is how people who laughed at things like Star Trek can see a lot of the technologies from those series, from those books today. Minus a replicator. We need a replicator. I know. I know people are gonna mention like the Illuminati. They really don't want to serve world hunger and all this other shit. I don't care about any of that. I'm not part of the rich class, so I'm not worried about that. I want a fucking replicator. If y'all, but yeah, let's be honest. Some of y'all care more about replicating sex dolls than you do about replicating food. Let me just keep it that buck. Y'all worried about sex robots, but y'all not worried about actually solving food. It's okay what you can sleep with. I almost said what you can sleep with, but not about where your next meal is gonna come from. Very interesting times that we're in. Keep in mind, lowest birth rates in the globe right now. Everywhere has the lowest birth rates. There's no place right now that is just holding on to their birth rates. Like, and the things that people get distracted on. Power that's not really. But again, look at your technology. What was this the reason for it? Your legitimacy, your policies. Like, what was all this for? And to me, the issue, the actual issue, whose tools get respected and whose tools get judged. when it comes to technology. Because everybody loved Amazon until they realized Amazon got big and so started taking other things out. Other things, by the way, that nobody was using. So they shouldn't take out bookstores, but they should keep public libraries. When's the last time you went to a public library? I can tell you, me personally, just me, I've been to more bookstores than a public library. Nothing wrong with public libraries. They definitely had their purpose with me, especially in my younger years. But I also realized that a lot of people are not going to them. And now, another thing that I think is with technology that I would say I would love to still be a thing, but is no longer a thing. I like that when you purchased a program, that program was yours. Not this, you can download the program and you need a forever subscription in order to use it. I don't like the shackling. I don't like that. Pay your 200, whatever, something dollars, 300 something dollars, buy the program is yours. Now you need a subscription after you purchase the program. That's bullshit. This is the worst thing that I can say I have not respected on, say, Microsoft. So, is there a technology that they had that made things easier for the globe? Yes, and I said for the globe because it doesn't matter whether you're here, whether you're in China, whether you're in Japan, Korea, Ireland, UK. People use Microsoft, but now people are enslaved to it. So what do you do with it? And I got rid of Adobe. Outside of reading a PDF, there's no reason for me to use Adobe. And I use Adobe a lot. I used it for a lot of my web stuff. It's one of the reasons why I don't go around taking photos anymore. Premiere, well, not Premiere, because I use something else. I had Premiere. I don't use Premiere. I don't use Lightroom. I don't use Photoshop anymore because they all became subscriptions. And it's not like you can just buy the suite and you get everything. Well, you can, but you're literally paying for each different program. So it adds up. You know, you got to pay $200 a month because you have to use all the different programs. I'm not using them every day. I may use one or two of them 3 times a week if I'm thinking about it. I think one of those times I clicked on it was just by accident. It was just the icon was just in the way. But yet I have to pay what? No, that shouldn't be a thing. That should no longer be a thing. That was a thing that if they wanted it, they'd use it. And that's why companies, if they had to buy several copies, I didn't have a problem with that. Ghosting systems and everything else like that, I didn't have a problem with that. But now, everything is a subscription. I'm surprised, to be honest with you, I'm surprised it probably will be this way. Like they'll be like, insurance companies will probably become like repos. That when you get a pacemaker, you're going to have to pay a subscription to keep your pacemaker on. You know, I'm not surprised if that happens, right? And by the way, it's not a problem with technology that this happens, by the way, folks. It's not a problem with technology. It's a problem with corporate greed. A lot of the things that we have benefited from technology has been really good. Really, really good. It's corporate greed that gets in the way and puts shackles on things that should have been available to us all. This is why people have a problem when I say one of the only real inventors that I like, but I use him as a cautionary tale, is Nikola Tesla. This guy. Literally got a whole bronze statue of this guy. Nikola Tesla. Because not only was he a brilliant inventor of many things, but he's also a tragic tale. screwed over many times, even though it made some decent money. Was isolated in many different ways of his life. I think the thing that really done him in was when he got hit by that fucking car. I think that really done him in. All his different writings and different ideals never even got to see fruition because he died before he can actually make them happen. He was screwed time after time after time again. If left up to him, because this is the way it was published, if left up to him, electricity would have been free. 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 Think about all the other things that we get already shackled to us because of electricity. But he's also for me a cautionary tale that you can be an idealist and the world won't care. You could have so much going on. You could be a revolutionary. There will always be someone to get in your way. This is why when I hear a lot of people like, oh, we're just trying to feed the homeless and we're doing missionary work and all that stuff, I look at them with the side eye. Oh, it's like, yeah, we're doing this for free and everything. Because deep down, a lot of people are not built that way. There's an ulterior motive. Or there's like there's a ploy to break someone. If you're in a neighborhood and you hear about Mrs. Jenkins, right? And she volunteers at all the food drives and she watches all the kids on the weekend so that parents can be able to have their date nights. And she does milk and cookies for people, and she's the member of the PTA, and she loves doing a Tupperware party or thing, and she's always smiling. Someone's thinking, man, fuck this bitch. I'm gonna find a way to ruin her. Someone's gonna try. Because she's always smiling. I just need to see her at least angry, upset, in tears. I just need to see it. I just need to be the person who breaks her. Not because she did anything to me. There are people who are just like that. There are people who they get their entire success off of you, by the way. And at the end of the day, they're only looking to ruin you instead of just doing right by you. Hey, I got this. All the stuff came in because of your hard work. This is why I laugh when I think of like how work is. Because there was a time where if you did really well, if you didn't really call out for work, if you did well at work, your boss or your boss's boss, somebody would notice you somewhere. And they would come over and they would pull you to the side and they would say, they say, hey, we noticed that all of this year you didn't take any days off. You've even done extra time and everything. You haven't taken any days off. Like, you've never been sick or anything. Like, either we want to offer you a position or we want to give you a raise. And that was done in silence. This was done in silence before yearly evaluations and all this shit, like, was really locked in as you gotta give me money now. People don't go out of their way now to say, I notice your hard work. I think you should have something. People don't do that anymore. Companies don't do that anymore. People themselves don't do that anymore. People, by the way, people in relationships don't do this anymore. You know what? You've been really good to me for these past 2 years. This is what I want to do. I don't even know if people really do that in relationships anymore. A problem that I have with people online, technology should have been the way for us to connect to each other because it was better than doing pen pals, right? Some of you guys who are sitting over, especially you alphas and Z's, you've never seen a pen pal in your life. Most of you don't even know how to write, to be honest with you. So having a pen pal was absolutely insane. But you have your technology, so now you can talk to people across distances. The way how the world has changed. A lot. What's good on do? A lot has changed in the world for good or for bad when it comes to technology. I think technology in itself is not bad. I think some of the architects of it, most of the architects, I would say, did not create technologies with nefarious intentions. It's the people who saw a profit from it, or the people who saw that it can be more than what the original intentions were that ruined it. It's like guys, it's like you hear about the story about guys who get with the girl. She's been a good, wholesome girl, but you just find that one guy that's like, I'm gonna fuck her life up. There are just some people who just have noble intentions, but there's always someone who's gonna ruin it. And let's be honest, it is easier for people to ruin things like children. It is easier to break things. It is easier to ruin things. It is easier to disrespect things that you yourself are not responsible for. That's the problem with the growth of some of the areas of technology. When you're not responsible for it, you tend to become reckless. And this is what I think this is the biggest problem when it comes to the discussion of AI. I think a lot of people, I think the majority of people use AI not as intended because they just don't know better or because they're thinking of what AI is limited. For the other people, they use AI as intended. But then we have those other people, and let's be honest, most of them are the ones who create it or those who are sitting at the top who just they want the worst for it. It could be for government warfare or it could be for spying. Look, they're gonna be there too. You're gonna have to the thing about the world is that you have to take the good with the bad. And most people just think they should be good or it's just gonna be bad. And that's just not the way how human history has been. So if you want great revolutionary discoveries in medicine, you're gonna have to understand that people want to make a profit off of it. For instance, this is the thing I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday. Why is it now people are talking about how you can take treatments for HIV and it prevents the spread of it? It's 2026. Now you get commercials, apparently you get commercials, as he said, that literally say you can take a pill daily and it will prevent the spread of it. I'm like, so are they saying that people should just be risking no protection and still? He's like, I don't know, but they're saying prevent. But when I say that, I'm like, the problem with this is like, we don't do anything for inoculation anymore. I know I just said a word that people don't hear anymore. Inoculation, just total cure. Everything's a treatment now. And like, part of me kind of understands that because the world, the mind, people are treatments all the time. The same way how when you take your drugs for, I don't know, your ADHD or your whatever's going on, it's not curing your problems. It's managing your system. You still have to do the work to figure out what's the best thing for you. It's a management system. It's a treatment. I'm trying to figure out why is it that we've come to a point in the world where we are not able to put forth a proper treatment for how to manage technology and our expectations of it. It doesn't need to be in pretty much a all or nothing game. I think the part that bothers me the most is that, like I said, at least from millennials, zennials, and alpha, this has been the generations that have received the most attention, not care, attention to understanding just how different it is to learn in general. And the funny part is, like, we've been doing this for so long, but for some reason we don't want to acknowledge it because disabled people get accommodations all the time. I'm not talking about just a ramp to get into the building or whatever. There are multiple different technologies, multiple accommodations that are made. People who are blind are able to, not to my braille, but they are able to have the accessibility to speak to them. All the different stuff. But for some reason, like I said, when I was coming up, you couldn't do all these different things. It was looked down upon. It was frowned upon to do them. To the point where now, let's be honest, people are too lazy to read a book. Now it gets read to them. And yet, when you have a conversation with some people today, they will turn around and say, man, I respect things being done this particular way. And I'm going, no, that's just what you're most comfortable to because that's the way how you learned. And not everybody learns the same way. Well, I can tell when when this dish was made from someone who did it with love and somebody who was just following the recipe. If you ate the dish and you liked it, it doesn't matter whether extra sugar went into it or whether it was done according to the recipe. Shut the fuck up. You know what you know what I understood at the end of that? You receive nourishment. That's what I got from it. You didn't say it was horrible. You received nourishment. Why can't you just respect that? Well, I don't respect someone who didn't do all the flour and dough and everything versus someone who bought the dough. It's funny because I see this whether it's older people, people in my generation, or even younger people, and I go, when did you become a purist? Because not everybody knows how to cook. Not everybody knew how to cook even back in the day. Back in the day. You think everybody coming up from the 50s and 60s or even back in old tribes or whatever, way before in huts or whatever, you think but way back in the Spaniard days or in Egypt, whatever, that everybody knew how to cook? No. They made trades for other things as well. Some people just basically got by on basics. We also didn't have huge, intricate, freaking cuisines as well. So things were a little bit easier as well. But not everybody always understood how to do things. This is why some particular people have particular roles. But to the point where we argue about things that make no damn sense. Like when I still hear the arguments about women being able to cook and clean and all the other stuff. And I'm just going, well, I just think you should be able to cook and clean as an adult just so you can take care of yourself because not everybody is guaranteed to have a relationship. I think it's very important if you ever plan on having kids one day that you know how to keep your kids alive. But when I hear so many people talking about, well, the people need to be cooking, I said, but when you go outside, the majority of people, especially the guys or the gals, are like, why would I be that? I ain't gonna be a slave, da, 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 da. Or the guys will be like, well, the women need to be cooking. I'm like, okay, but when you go outside, when you go to restaurants, who's the ones that's mainly cooking your meals? Well, wrestling, that's different. No, it's not. I've literally had men try to, which is weird, try to shame me because I I actually enjoy cooking. You got a woman? Yeah, I got a woman. And you cook? Absolutely. Man. And I'm like, I also do my own clothes too. Sorry that you're not able to take care of yourself like a grown ass man. There are so many things that people cling to for no adaptation in the world that everybody can do. I wouldn't sit around in my life thinking that if it's not being done this way, it cannot be done at all. Same way how I opened all this. If you want something done, or if you want something to be a particular way, you need to go find that thing, which is fine and all. Fine and all. But also, go find that thing for you. Don't go muddying the water or fucking everything else up for everybody else because you want something a particular way. Let it work for you. And if you can't find that thing, it's because, let's be honest, you're probably not worthy of it. Because you don't get what you think you deserve. You get what you qualify for. That's what happens. You get what you qualify for. And that means the thing that you're harping and bitching and raving about, you don't qualify for that thing. Well, it was easier back in not in your day. That's not your time. You need to adapt. You didn't come up with the color purple. This is your day today. You need to do things differently. The same way how I said it earlier. Now you want your fight to be with trans people. And I'm like, do you have a problem with dealing with trans people? No, they're pretty good. I don't even see them. So why do you care so much? Especially if you're not even, quote, religious. Keep it to yourself. Do your own thing. If it doesn't affect you, if it's not, what are you worried about? School? You got kids? No. What are you doing? I think you're so lost on what you should be doing in the world that you're picking anything just to find yourself being relevant. And that's why I said there's so many distractions out there from the thing that is the most important thing that people don't focus on when it comes to their time, how they're going to spend it. And the one thing you will understand, you'll start thinking about as to how you're going to spend it is reflecting on how you're going to keep it. But people don't tell you how you're going to keep your time. So therefore, you never remember that one day you're going to be gone. We've convinced people to think that they're going to live forever, or to not think about their mortality. I think if a lot of people really thought, reflect, or keep in mind that one day they're going to be gone, they start spending their time focusing on things that are really not that important. But it's easy to get distracted. It's easier to focus on things that you don't want to focus on. And that's also how you wind up spending a lot of your time not living the life that you want to live. Now, there's a lot of things that I said people are not going to like. And I say, so fucking what? I don't care if you don't like it. You can hear it. Do you understand it? And then also, if I said it and you don't like it, how does that change your life? You got to make a decision for yourself. I guarantee you, your opposition to anything I say won't do anything to change what I'm doing. Your disagreement won't do anything to change how I'm living my life. But if it does open up something, at least an idea that maybe you might be fixating on things that are just really not that important, then perhaps you'll do something a little different. the next time you hear something where somebody harping on something and you feel that need to want to jump in, you'll go, yeah, you know what? Actually, I gotta say, I don't care. So many people are put into a stage of rage because they want people to hate. But the opposite of love is not hate, folks. The opposite of love is indifference. And if you heard anything I had to say, then you'll understand that I can be very indifferent about a whole lot of stuff. And at the same time, I worry about the things that are only most prevalent to me. And I ask that you do the same thing. That being said, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll catch you most likely next week. Y'all have a good night.